Hey guys, it's Ryan here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're going to be doing another Ramble video. Today we're going to be doing June's Ramble video, and well, I thought of doing one that related to June on the Range, right? Which is this reading event about reading Westerns, right? I did manage to find Western manga, as in manga about the Western genre, as in cowboys and stuff. But I couldn't really come up with a topic that related to June on the Range, right? So I wanted to do something that I've been kind of thinking about for a while, and that is new, or maybe, that's not the right word for it, like things that I want printed in English that are not printed in English yet, right? Things that I want available in English physically, whether they may be available in English digitally or not, right? And broadly speaking, it's because besides the Viz and Shonen Jump apps, which are more or less the same thing, manga reading apps are fucking garbage. Like, they're all insanely bad. Even Webtoons is not enjoyable for me to use, right? I understand that a lot of people use them and they're okay with them, but the Viz one, specifically the app version, is the only one that I feel comfortable using and that I actually enjoy using, right? And so there's quite a few things on this list that I know are available in English, you know, on Comic Key or on, something else, right? But I just don't like it, right? I don't like reading on those apps, just because of how they're designed, the UI, the interaction that you as a consumer have with that, website is just not great, right? And sometimes it's also because, or some of the things that I want to mention are also because, even though I have access to them through a different country, like buying stuff from Spain or buying stuff from France, I'd rather not have to do that, because I would rather like to read a properly well-translated, well-edited copy in English than I would one that's, on scans that I feel okay reading after I buy a physical volume, or a physical volume that I buy that I have to pay 3 times as much for to just get it imported here to the US, or, stuff like that, right? And sometimes, or some of the stuff mentioned here, I wanted to mention because I don't really want to read the machine translated and then like really shittily, lettered version that is available for the English market, right? So yeah, I have a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 manga that I want to mention here. So, like I said, most of it is probably available in English in some capacity, but I just don't like the apps that they're available on, so I want it in physical print, right? And most of these I have available to me in some way. I actually probably own most of these, actually, but I want them in English, right? So, to start off the list, it's one that's not really something we have never had before, and that would be Gon, the little dinosaur manga, right? Like the manga that doesn't have any words, that's just about this little crazy dinosaur that somehow survived, the dinosaur apocalypse, which was the asteroid hitting Mexico or something, I can't remember, that wiped out the dinosaurs 76 million years ago, right? That needs a reprint desperately, like really badly. It's impossible to get them. They're so expensive, and there really is no reason why Kodansha should not republish it. Like, you literally have to do nothing, because there's no text that you have to update. There's no things that you have to edit at all. You literally can just make money by reprinting it over and over again, right? And I don't understand why it's not easily available. This is like the easiest way to get people interested in manga, because it's a funny concept and it's immensely easy to like read because it literally has no text. And you can even lower the price for this volume, right? From, whatever, $12 that it might cost, to like $7, because you didn't really have to do anything to it. And it would make so much money. Or they could make a nice single omnibus format, right? With 5 volumes in it, or maybe, a 2-volume set, that's slightly larger, and just make bank. Like, I don't understand why this is not broadly available. For a long time, I know people used to import the Italian editions, but those look disgusting. They're so bright and ridiculously colored that it's annoying to look at them, right? I would really like a more understated, normal looking print run of these. And I don't understand why they're not available. There's only 5 volumes in the whole series. It should not be that hard, right? Especially now that they're doing a lot of these more classic things, right? But I don't know. Hopefully it gets a reprint at some point. So that's kind of the one. Otherwise, there's some stuff that is available online in some fashion that I want available physically. Starting off with Hokkaido Gals Are Super Adorable. This is a series that is a little bit like Komi, a little bit like Hitomi-chan is Shy with Strangers, a little bit like Furisan is Scary, a little bit like Nagatoro, right? It's about this guy. He's kind of really similar to Tadano from Komi-san Can't Communicate, right? Who moves from Tokyo to Hokkaido. And Hokkaido is the Japanese boonies. It's like going from New York to the Midwest, right? It's something like that. It's like moving to Kansas for Americans, right? And he gets there, and he meets a bunch of gals, right, that happen to be from Hokkaido, and he becomes friends with them, and there's like romantic tension between them, and you get to learn, you know, as a foreigner, you get to learn about Hokkaido at the same time that the main character from Tokyo does, and you also get to just see a lot of really fun, interesting, enjoyable, raunchy-esque kind of art. And I think that in the modern, like, post-dress-up darling kind of world, Hokkaido Gals Are Super Adorable is a no-brainer for a series to get picked up. And the fact that it had an anime, which I'm pretty sure was pretty bad. Like, people did not like it or liked it pretty, like, were very excited about it, but then saw that it was pretty shitty content, as in, like, it was badly done. And it didn't get a print edition is really upsetting and really sad. And maybe it's just because it's a really long series, but then again, Komi is also a really long series, right? So the only reason why I can think of this not being physical, available in physical format yet is because it just isn't really popular enough from the Japanese standpoint to really bother to push it. And from the American standpoint, right, probably Viz would be the one picking this up. There's no point in getting it because you already have Komi, and that, you know, kills everything else that's like it, right? Except maybe Nagatoro-san, right? So I understand why there's no need for this series, right? But I would really like to have physical editions of it because I really like it, and it's really annoying to read it on the Manga Plus app. I think the Manga Plus app is pretty bad, and also since they changed their formatting, I don't want to pay another subscription service for a service that I don't like, that already overlaps with one that I do, right? Which is the Viz app, the Shonen Jump app as well, right? So I just find very little benefit in getting that app just to read Hokkaido Gals. And I guess I could also read it's 'Tis Time for Torture Princess, but 2 series is not enough to justify getting it, right? So I don't know. I might have to get rid of my Viz app subscriptions for a while, and then only get the Manga Plus one, and then switch back to Viz when I finish reading Hokkaido Gals, right? I don't know, but I really want Hokkaido Gals Are Super Adorable to have a physical edition. I think it'd be great. In a similar kind of vein, but not exactly, I would like to have Erotic X Anabolic be physically published here in the US, right? So this is a weird-ass manga. Imagine how heavy are the dumbbells that you lift, but with, like, the raunchiness of, like, Booty Royale, right? And the fact that Booty Royale is a series that was published and well-liked enough to be continued to publish, I think Erotic X Anabolic is probably a series that would do well here in the States. The thing is that I don't know how long it is. I only read like 4 chapters of it, and I thought it was great, so I wanted to own it physically. And I also don't know that it, like, a normal publisher would be willing to get it, right? Like, 7 Seas is willing to publish some weird-ass stuff, right? But I feel like this series might go a little bit too far, and might actually end up being something that maybe Faku has to publish, right? So, that's kind of my feelings on that. Maybe something like maybe someone like Denpa, right, could publish this because they published that like high school BDSM series, right? but it would probably have to be like something like Faku, right? And I think that's why it doesn't come out here. But it's a pretty interesting series. It's about this girl in high school who is super fit and really like mature physically, and she is super into exercising. And then there's this guy who ends up connecting with her in some way, and now he has to go along with her, exercising. And I think it's because he likes her as an inspiration for his art or something. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it's a really weird concept, but I think it's one that would be pretty enjoyable to a lot of people, right? So that's kind of one I want. It's not really all that similar. This one is fully unavailable anywhere. It's only available through scans, and I think only for a few chapters, right? So yeah, moving on from that one, Killing Bites. There was an anime for this, and I actually really liked it. I think it was only about 12 chapters, and the issue here is that this is available in English on Bookwalker, but it's with a machine translation, and it's really fucking shitty, and it's just so disgusting to look at. And I actually think that it's exactly the same as the scans. Like, if you go on, like, what's it called? Manga Dex or something, and you look up the scans for Killing Bites, I think it's exactly the same as this, as what you would get from Bookwalker. So there's no point in buying those, right? But I really like the series, and I really want to read it. And I would love to have it in English. But for whatever reason, no one likes it, right? Which makes no sense, because this is like a very, like, if you like Record of Ragnarok and you like Beastars, there is no reason why you wouldn't like Killing Bites, right? And I feel like there's a lot of people that like both. So I don't understand why Killing Bites, which is basically the same thing, doesn't like get the traction that it should, right? So I don't know, but I really want this one in English as well. Then I think that VALHAILLAN, The Black Iron, which is a 3-volume series, should be published in English. And this was published in France, and I think it made it to Spain as well. But this series is basically like a Japanese samurai dies and then gets reincarnated in some sort of like war world, and he happens to be fighting against some Roman dudes, right? So it's very similar to Tengen Hero War, or some of those other more like historical fiction type isekais, right? Or something like, Record of Ragnarok, to an extent, right? It's a bit different. Actually, I would say it's pretty different, but I feel like it has the right kind of vibes to be popular here in the States right now. And also, since it's so short, it would be such an easy pickup for so many people, right? So yeah, also the art looks really cool. So I really just want this to own it, because I want to look at the art and not feel guilty about reading the scans, right? So yeah. Then I want Ranking of Kings in English. I don't know why it's not available physically. I feel like this is a no-brainer, right? Like the anime was really successful from what I understand. A lot of people like it. I love it. I think it's amazing. And I can see people, or I can see manga companies being like, you know what? The anime was so insanely good that the art in the manga probably doesn't compare, and people are not going to like this. And it's not going to be a successful series, because they're going to just stick to the anime instead. So maybe we should just not release it, right? And I can see that being a thing. I can see that being a problem. But at the same time, I feel like many readers would be willing to look past that if they already know that the series is good, like story-wise, right? But the anime is really amazing. Like the art in the anime is like a billion light years better than the manga, right? It's very much like the guy that wrote Mob Psycho and One Punch Man. Like, his art style is very bad, right? And then you compare it to Yusuke Murata's artwork, right? Which is the stuff that from One Punch Man, and like that artwork is phenomenal, right? It's the same kind of idea with Ranking of Kings, right? Like the art style in the manga is pretty fucking garbage. I like it. I think it's cute, but it's pretty objectively bad, right? It's not very pretty looking. But then the anime is like gorgeous, right? It looks so great, right? So I understand why people might not want to take a chance on this, but I'm pretty sure it's owned by Kodansha. And the fact that Kodansha doesn't even release it digitally is some garbage, because the people that do are the same ones that released Killing Bites, if I remember correctly. And they were so bad that they just stole straight from scans. And then when they got caught, they took out everything from the Bookwalker store. And then they recently, like a year ago, put it up again. And I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same as before. So, I don't know. Pretty garbage. I don't want to buy it. I'll just stick to the French editions, and I'll just scan the text with my phone when I want to read it, right? So, yeah. Then, we're kind of getting into stuff that is a bit crazy here. So, Kingdom. I have the first 3 volumes of the series from Spain, and then Book Depository shut down, so I couldn't buy more. But Kingdom is a great series. It's really, really interesting. It's very fun. The problem is that at this point, there's 99 volumes of Kingdom, and so I understand why people don't want to risk this, right? Like, I understand why Viz or Kodansha would be like, you know what? No one even knows the series in the States. There's no point in releasing it, right? Even though people continuously ask, that's only on Twitter. And Twitter is like a microcosm of like real life, right? Most manga fans probably don't know what Kingdom is, right? At least not the ones that are chronic, at least not the ones that are normal. The ones that are chronically online definitely know what Kingdom is, right? But this series is phenomenal. It's amazing. It's from a time period that we as Americans don't really know too much. Like, it's Chinese history, right? And it's really amazing, right? If you like Vinland Saga, you probably would like Kingdom. If you like Kengan Ashura or Baki and stuff like that, you probably would like Kingdom, because it has that same kind of vibe, where like the characters are kind of like grotesque and looking, but really interesting. But it is kind of ridiculous to ask for, you know, a publisher to release this, right? Even if they did 3-in-1s, it would take for fucking ever to get the series, right? So I understand why it's not done, but man, I really wish that it was possible to get it, right? So yeah. And then we have ISSAK, and ISSAK is another kind of war series. This one follows a Japanese guy who ends up in Europe. It's actually kind of like the opposite of Shogun. Like the same kind of style of storytelling as Shogun, but in the opposite direction. A Japanese guy in Europe instead of a European guy in Japan, right? And it's really good. But it's available by Kodansha online. And they do a pretty good job with the translation. But for whatever reason, they chose to only make it digital. And I'm not sure that was a good choice. I like everything that I've mentioned so far. I understand why it's probably not ever going to get an English release. I don't understand why ISSAK was not immediately set for an English release instead of just holding it in like digital jail, right? But this series is great. The art style is nice. I think that post Shogun, it's actually kind of the right time to make it a physical edition, because people are pretty interested in this idea of like, you know, stranger in a strange land from like the European and Japanese perspective. And ISSAK being the opposite could be marketed as such, right? You could market it as like, what if Shogun was the other way around, right? You could put that on the tagline of the book, and it might make people very interested in checking it out, right? So, yeah, I don't know why this one is not available in English, but I really want it to be purchasable for a physical edition, right? I want to own it in my collection. Then, War of the Greedy Witches, or War of the Witches, or The Great Battle Between Witches, or, you know, MAJO TENSEI, what's it called? What's the whole Japanese title? I can't remember. It's like something 32 battles or something. That one is just female Record of Ragnarok, and it's great. Well, I think it's great. The artwork looks great, and I don't understand why it's not available in English yet. And I think it's mostly just because, unlike other markets, the American one hasn't really realized that Record of Ragnarok is a genre-defining series that is spawning a lot of clones, and a lot of those clones also happen to be quite good as well, right? So, yeah, but hopefully we get that available in English here. I actually got a copy of this, and I got it from Mexico. Actually, it's from Spain, but Spain has a manga publisher that subsidizes into Mexico, and they adjust their prices for the Mexican market. So even though it's the same volume, it costs half the price. And for me, that's actually like a quarter of the price, because American dollars are twice as powerful as Mexican ones, right? And also because of not having to import it, I saved money. So it ended up being a super cheap purchase. And I'm very excited to read it. I had it, if you guys want to see the copy of it, I have it in my in my May haul, right? So you guys can see it there. But the series has a lot of potential. It's pretty, standardized. And one of the biggest complaints people had about Record of Ragnarok was the distinct lack of female characters, right? This one is completely the opposite. It's only female characters. And so I think that it's the perfect type of series to publish for people that are fans of Record of Ragnarok, especially the female fans, right? So, yeah. And then finally, the last one that I want to mention here is Kengan Ashura. I think that the series is great. A lot of people like Baki and Kengan Ashura, and there's this big Kengan Ashura versus Baki crossover event that's happening on Netflix here soon. But the series is great. It's really fun. It's really interesting. It's really ridiculous. It's insane. But it's one that I really think would work very well in the market. Based on like my understanding and, all of the other manga tubers that I know. I just don't understand why it's not available yet. I guess it's because fighting series are not that popular. Like, Dragon Ball is insanely popular. And at the end of the day, it's just a fighting series. But it has enough fantastical elements to it that you can market it several ways, right? You can't really do that with Kengan Ashura. Kengan Ashura is literally just an MMA series, right? Or a UFC series, or whatever you want to call it. And if you marketed it a certain way, you might make it kind of work. Like, if you said it's Record of Ragnarok, but with, like, a gang setting, right? Like Fable or Tokyo Revengers or whatever, it might work. But it's not exactly true, right? So, I don't know how you can make this work, but it doesn't have that many volumes. I think it has, like, 30, which is pretty, accessible for manga series, at least. And you could easily make it a 2 or a 3-in-1 kind of omnibus deal. And I don't see why it hasn't been published yet, right? But I hope that it gets published here soon, right? So, yeah, that's my list. Sorry, this is not a super interesting video. I don't want to show artwork and stuff like that. I just want to tell you about them because I don't want this video to get taken down. Yeah, those are my thoughts. What do you guys think? What is the series that you guys want published? Let me know down below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and see you guys later.